I have, before this review, never had any prior knowledge or memory of this cartoon, seeing as I was only a year old when it first came out. And by the time I remember Cartoon Network, the show had already faded into obscurity. Man, nah, this is a hilarious bumper as a kid to me.
I pooted.
On YouTube, the show doesn't really have a consistent fan base talking about it, and in real life, no one seems to really mention it in passing. And I've never seen anyone have strong feelings for the show one way or another. It's never been anyone saying Robot Jones was fire or Robot Jones was just terrible, but only just Robot Jones existed. Of course, before we get into the main course of the show, I have to read the recipe and ingredients that brought this show together and the hands that prepared it to know what I'm getting ready to digest. Hey, y'all like that play of words right there?
Oh my god, shut the hell up.
All jokes aside though, I really did have a hard time finding information on this show. And on top of that, it's hard to find on any streaming services, so I had to watch the whole entire show on Kiss Cartoon. And you know how they are. Low quality audio, fuzzy sounds in the background, and I kid you guys not, a guy coughs and laughs several times while recording these episodes.
What? Shh.
I will get to how this show is created in a little bit, but here we go. Whatever Happened to Robot Jones is about Robot Jones as he comes to a public school and learns how to integrate with humans and learns the way of our culture and how we do things. Alongside him are his three friends, Timothy, QB, and Mitch. I honestly feel bad for him. Public school is hell and kids are relentless in middle school. They'll probably call him like Dongle Dick or something, I don't know. The show was created by Greg Miller, who's worked on SpongeBob, My Life as a Teenage Robot, and Dexter's Lab. When pitching the series originally, he wanted to make a pirate cartoon, but back then Cartoon Network had a no pirate rule. I wonder what happened to that. But they liked him, so they told him to go and pitch another series, and so he made Whatever Happened to Robot Jones. The pilot for the series aired as part of an animated shorts block called The Big Pick Weekend. Reviewers at home got to vote on cartoons they liked, and whichever one got a series. Unfortunately, Robot Jones came in second place, losing to Grim and Evil, another show that has fallen into obscurity. Seems kinda pointless to do the competition if the first and second place series are gonna get a show. But hey, that's just me. Cartoon Network, do your thing. The series got its pilot and aired on June 8th, 2000. Honestly, the jokes in this special weren't really that funny, to be honest. And it's very limited color compared to the main series, but I did enjoy this art style a lot. It's very reminiscent of Schoolhouse Rock, and I loved Schoolhouse Rock as a kid and had fond memories of that series, so this style really hits home for me. I also really just love it when cartoons go for a comic book style. Between the first and second season of this show, the animation does get a bit cleaner, for this show standards anyways, and you can really notice it. Objects get a tad smoother and the colors get a little less dirty, if that makes any sense. Pilot starts with Robot Jones being told he must attend public school to understand humans and collect data for whatever reason. And from the very start of interacting with humans, all of his encounters with other humans were negative, with everyone judging him for being a robot and things just not going his way, further pushing the alienation between him and humans. All throughout the pilot, he is basically the butt monkey of all the jokes, but it's not over the top. Wait, hold up. Bitch, is that Hitler? As much as he's dragged through the mud throughout the pilot, at the end he meets a girl named Shannon who has braces and a prosthetic leg, and he falls in love with her, and thinks that maybe not all humans are bad, and he wants to study them and learn more about them. With all the butt monkey jokes in this pilot, I thought I wouldn't enjoy the main series and that it'd be a constant shit show for RJ, but come to find out, it wasn't actually that bad considering this pilot. So now with all of that out of the way, let's get into the main series. This show between the pilot and the first season really lessens the fact that RJ is the butt of so many jokes, because let's be honest, that shit gets old. Also, people, while not fully learning to accept and understand RJ, they really generally warm up to him and get used to his antics. And it's cool to see that there are small developments here and there. RJ takes things very literally when he's going through everyday human life, and you just want to see him succeed when he's trying to understand other people. He's a very funny and honest character in the way he's portrayed. Throughout the series, he becomes less oblivious to social cues, and it's nice to see him learn from the situations he finds himself in. Between the first and second season though, his voice goes from an automated computer text to voice to a real kid, voiced by Bobby Block, who doesn't do that much voice acting anymore. I think the automated voice is better than the kid's voice. I knew this was going to happen going into the series, and I thought I'd enjoy the human voice, but it doesn't work as well as text to voice. Especially since they did it in the middle of the show. It'd be like if Tom and Jerry started talking out of nowhere, and thank God that didn't happen. Oh hell nah. I also really like RJ's friends, Sock, Hubie, and Mitch. They really portray how I think a lot of friend groups are in real life. They love RJ, even when he acts out, and they support him, despite the fact that they understand nothing about one another. That warmed my heart. It feels like I'm back in middle school again watching these guys. Also, they just bring in Socks out of nowhere, so like his friend just shows up without us getting the explanation of how they became friends. And that was kind of weird to me actually. You really don't see that a lot in shows. There's also these two annoying boys named the Yogman brothers, and like they're basically the villains of the show, and I hate them so much, and I love them at the same time. They don't show up a lot, but I definitely wouldn't like this show as much if they didn't exist. I need that Yogman spin-off series now. There's also RJ's love interest named Shannon, who sometimes isn't bothered by him, and sometimes she's mad fucking ticked off with him, and sometimes she doesn't even really notice him. And I'm not gonna lie, it do be like that. But in the grand scheme of the show, all the characters are kind of just one note, to be honest. Sometimes the background music can overshadow the talking, and it doesn't really help convey a moment in the show. Sometimes a quiet moment or a moment with limited music can really set the mood and make you feel in the moment. But when the music is blasting at every moment, it really destroys the immersion of a show and makes you want to mute the hell out of it. And sometimes it's hard to get into the stories because of this. And speaking of stories, the stories being told are the typical things you have to go through when you're in middle school. Embarrassment, growth spurts, genders, popularity, and boners. But it's not taken as seriously as in real life. Middle school. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you've done, but I know at the end of the day, everybody hates middle school. But seriously though, the stories do go by like really fast. Like really fast. Kinda like these videos, huh? Watch an episode and you'll see. So it's hard when the resolution comes, and it feels like we need more conflict in an episode to feel like a full story being told. And this show was made long before streamlined cartoons were prevalent. So it was very hard to stay interested in the story. I wouldn't really say it's a big deterrent for not watching the show. I'm just so used to shows having underlying stories going on. But with the show being called Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, I thought there might be something happening to him. But by the show's last episode, nothing really happens except for him learning like he does at the end of every episode. And I'm not even mad at that. You know how Cartoon Network is when they cancel shows. They don't really get an ending for the most part. So now let's really talk about how Cartoon Network treated this show while it was airing. Apparently back in the day when the show first started airing, it only aired new episodes on Sunday at 10:30. And what kid is up at 10:30 p.m. on a Sunday doing? That shit just don't add up. Go your ass to sleep. God, that shit sounds like pebbles being thrown down a pipe. But you get what I'm saying, right? It seems like Cartoon Network knew this might not do well, and so they shafted the show. Kinda like what Nickelodeon does with shows that aren't as successful as SpongeBob, you feel me? Show doesn't even ever get mentioned by Cartoon Network anymore, and the show was even removed from the website's viewing back in the day. And I've tried to find reasons as to why they did this, but I've just been running up dry. So this furthers my point on why I think they wanted to show this show under the surface, because they knew there wasn't any financial gain in the series. It's just the real kicker that the show that won first place was just as easily forgotten as the second place show. Oh, the irony. Right now, the creator of Robot Jones, Greg Miller, is working on the show The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle on Amazon Video as the director. So I'm glad he's still doing his thing out here in the animation world. Overall though, I don't think this show is ever going to come back in any capacity at the end of the day. It's not the best show Cartoon Network has ever made. I'll be honest, it's pretty half-baked at best, but it has heart. Robot Jones at the end of the day was a small endeavor that I'm glad Greg Miller got to make with friends. It was something he was passionate about, and that's what art is, a passion. And whether the whole world forgets this show or not, if at least one person enjoyed a single moment of the show, then it achieved its goal. And for that reason, I'm glad it exists. My name is Sketch Star. What actually did happen to Robot Jones? Peace, YouTube.